So right now, I am Mike and co-host,
I'm Adam.
and together we are the process, and we're just asking you to trust us. So the first thing we're going to get into is the draft. That's the big thing that everybody's talking about right now because that's the only thing fucking going on. What did you think of the draft? Well, what did you think of the draft show itself? I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's the most watched draft in NFL history, from what I understand too. I mean, kind of figured though with everybody staying at home, nobody has any sports right now, so it's going to be the biggest event right now going on. But I thought it was awesome. I think the Bills kind of stole the draft in a way, with picking up a guy like AJ Epinesa at 54. I mean, people had him going first round to us before we did the Stephon Diggs trade. He was going at 22 to Buffalo, and we pick him up at 54. To me, I feel like we got like 2 first-round picks because Stephon Diggs was our first-round pick, and then we also still get AJ Epinesa.
I was FaceTiming with some friends during the draft, and when Minnesota came up to take that pick, I just pulled up some Diggs highlights.
Oh yeah,
because they ain't drafted anybody that's better than him.
No,
dude, I don't care. We did the right thing in that.
Absolutely, and that's really where the draft started for us, was with the Stephon Diggs trade, because that essentially was our first round pick. Everybody knew that Buffalo was going to take a wide receiver first round. I mean, obviously that's the number one thing that we needed for Josh Allen to develop. We have a solid number 2 receiver, John Brown. He did a great job for us last year, but he's obviously not a number 1 guy. A great guy in the slot in Cole Beasley, and we have some decent depth, but really we know we needed that number 1 guy. So Brandon Beane went out and got us that number 1 guy, and the first thing I'm hearing from people that were talking shit about it were saying, you gave up too much for him, you gave up too much. Nobody would have been saying we gave up too much if the DeAndre Hopkins trade doesn't happen right before that, which DeAndre Hopkins was pretty much given away for a couple of cheeseburgers,
Right.
And
a roll of tape.
Yeah.
Movie pass in there.
Yeah, they pretty much gave him away for nothing, and I think that kind of made people, a little bit jaded when it came to the Stephon Diggs trade, because we got him for a first, 4th next year, and then a 5th and 6th also this year, right? That 5th and 6th draft pick, those were extra draft picks. That was just extra draft capital that Brandon Beane, who's a fucking genius, was went out and he got rid of who? Wyatt Teller and Russell Bodine. Who are those guys? Right? Who the fuck knows who that is? Like, we do because we're Bills fans, you know what I mean? We pay attention, but there's 2 offensive linemen he got rid of, right? They weren't doing anything for us, and that was pretty much just, draft picks that he was able to throw out there. So really, to me, we gave up a first round and a fourth round next year. You know what I mean? That 4th round pick, Brandon Beane's going to go out and pick up some more draft capital for next year somehow before the beginning of the season. So that's where the draft started for us, was that trade. And for me, I was like, I'm all for it, because none of these guys, CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, none of these guys are going to come. None of them are going to be anywhere near as productive as Stephon Diggs is.
No.
I mean, he's a proven commodity.
Yeah, and that's what I loved about it. And it's not like he's 31, 32. Because I remember we were talking on, all last year, going into this offseason, is like, I think they're going to sign a big-time wide receiver. Mm-hmm. We were talking about Amari Cooper. We was talking AJ Green.
Yeah, I actually found out middle of last season, they actually tried to go after Stephon Diggs. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I read about that too. Yeah. I think Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott, I think they got the right culture in play. So they're like, well, he's going to be a cancer and blah blah blah. As soon as Josh doesn't give him the ball, he's going to start calling him out and blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, in Minnesota that might fly. There's all kinds of crazy news always coming out of Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
A few years ago you had the Love Boat thing.
Yeah.
With them guys. And then last year you had Diggs and Thielen. They're calling out Cousins.
Mm-hmm.
After ugly losses or whatever. So I mean, they were frustrated and they called him out. But what happened after that? Stephon Diggs, after that game, he had a great season.
Yeah.
And the Vikings as a team took off.
Yeah.
So you call it a cancer, where I call it, I call that leadership from a young man who just said something, and the whole team responded.
Yeah.
They went to the playoffs. They won a playoff game, and now they had a chance. They have a chance to build on that. And I think Buffalo has a chance to build on the momentum that Stephon Diggs is building for himself.
Absolutely.
In his career, up to this point, he's going in there with the expectation of being a number one, and that's what he wanted from the Vikings, was to be called the true number one guy.
Yeah.
So now he's going to get to be that true number one guy. And then John Brown, who is he's a number two.
Yeah.
He's fast. He's got sure hands. And he excelled at the number one. Imagine what he's going to do in his natural position.
Oh, I think he's still going to have a 1,000-yard season.
Yeah,
absolutely, still going to have a 1,000.
But this is going to be this is the season, and I've been telling you this because I've never been high on Josh Allen. And I still think that he's the biggest question mark going into this season.
Yeah.
With that trade and the moves that they made in the draft and the moves they've been making, I think this is, especially with the Diggs trade and what they gave up to get him there, they were saying, now let's see and show the world why we took you where we took you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And show the world what we see in you. Show everybody.
And I think that it's not, I don't know that he's necessarily, Josh Allen's going to be the biggest question mark. He's the person that there's no more questions about him. We're going to see whether or not he's it or not. But not only him, but also the offensive coordinator, Brian Dable, I think. Both of them are it's like, okay, it's time for you to do this.
Well, we've seen what that offense can do.
Yeah, Brian Dable.
As long as they're executing.
Yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, there's been a lot of question marks around Brian Dable, questionable calls. You remember the game when they ran the ball 4 times with Frank Gore? That was in the Texans game. We were in the red zone. They ran the ball 3 or 4 times.
So mad.
Yeah, they ran the ball with him. It's like that's why you're like what is he doing? So this is by far, I think, this is Brian Dable's most talented roster he's going to have, right? And not only that, but Josh Allen now, year 3, you've got everything you could want. You've got, good running backs behind you. And not only that, but, in the 3rd round, they picked up Zach Moss, which, we were talking about the draft. Zach Moss is a perfect complement to Devin Singletary. You've now probably got what's considered probably one of the best trios as far as wide receivers go in the league with Cole Beasley, John Brown, and Stephon Diggs. And honestly, the reason that I think that this offense is going to be awesome was with them having those 3 receivers, is those 3 guys are some of the best route runners in the league.
Yeah.
And people really underestimate. They want a guy. They want a big guy. They want a fast guy. They want all these measurable things. But literally, when it comes down to route running, it helps out the quarterback because not only are you open, but you look open to your quarterback as well. And that's why I think that Josh Allen.
I still think the 2 biggest question marks going into the season for our offense is going to be Josh Allen, and I think the second biggest question is, I don't think it's talked about enough, is going to be Dawson Knox.
Yeah.
They didn't go after a tight end in his draft or a free. I mean, they had a visit with Greg Olsen when he was available. He ultimately went to Seattle. But I think that was probably more of a leadership thing because we didn't see them go tight end in the draft.
Yeah.
So I think they're kind of saying, all right, Knox is our guy, but he had shown, he had the propensity to have the stone hands.
Yeah, 10 drops.
Especially, in key spots too.
Very big spots.
So he's going to have to step it up because everybody knows that a young quarterback's best friend is a sure-handed tight end.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who's going to be there, he's going to fight for you.
Yeah.
So he needs to step it up. Our tight end group as a whole needs to step it up for sure.
Yeah.
At least Smith needs to get the fuck gone.
Yeah.
That guy is a fucking liability. I mean you talk
I'm
about
pretty
a
sure
dinosaur.
he just got a false start penalty like 5 minutes ago. Motherfucker.
I mean, you want to talk about a dinosaur at that position. I mean, I was talking about this the other day. It's like, you remember in the early 2000s when our defense, like the anchor of our defense was, up the middle was Kevin Williams and Pat Williams.
Oh, yeah.
These boys both weighed like 350
Yeah.
pounds. Like, these guys were just, you don't see guys like that in the league anymore. Yeah. You just don't. I mean, I'm even still in that mindset. You still need guys like that.
Yeah.
Because when we drafted Ed Oliver, I'm sitting in fucking B-dubs like, what the fuck?
Matter in hell.
Ed Oliver, some guy who plays
guy.
in Houston, probably never faced an offensive tackle that played in the NFL, weighs under 300 pounds. But here he is fucking killing it, making me eat my words.
Yeah.
Like, okay. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a talent evaluator. I just eye test,
Yeah.
Well, he passes the eye test for sure. So I feel like pairing him up with a guy like Epinesa, he gets to learn behind Mario Addison,
Oh, yeah.
who's gotten at least 9 sacks for the last 4 years.
Yep.
He's coming into a system, and I think the underrated signing that's going to be that I think is going to be probably one of our bigger moves is going to be Josh Norman.
Yeah.
I'm going to bet on him.
I think so too. I honestly, I've heard a lot of people talking trash about Josh Norman, how he's not the same guy he was in 2015. But at the same time, I'm hearing just as much rumbling about people saying that the Washington Redskins didn't know how the hell to use him. He wasn't in the right scheme, And Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott have proven time and time again. Yeah, if I can fucking spit it out. Sean McDermott have proven time and time again that they know how to get the most out of players, right? And this season, familiarity is going to be even more important than seasons in the past because of the COVID-19 thing. We're going to have like an abbreviated off season, right? So who knows when they get to start, actually getting out on the field and actually practicing. Josh Norman being a guy who's familiar with, and Mario Addison being a guy they're familiar with. I think A.J. Klein even had some roots in Carolina and stuff too, right? Who else was there? And then, you've had other guys, the, Star Latulales and that kind of stuff that they've shown that they can they can build out of, familiarity and what they know. And it's going to be an advantage for them, this offseason. And I think, honestly, Josh Norman, I watched some of the highlights from him in Washington. And yeah, he's older, and so yeah, he can get beat and stuff like that. But the way that Sean McDermott runs a defense with his own defense, he knows how to use Josh Norman. He's not going to go pick him up because he was his buddy.
He's not going to be putting him as their number one.
No,
the pressure's not on him. Mm-hmm. We got Trede on the other side.
No, but that's what Washington was relying on him for, was for him to go out, and they wanted him to be the star.
McDermott knows what his strengths are. They're gonna put him in a position to succeed.
Exactly.
And I think it's gonna happen. I think he has enough tread on the tires, to get another season or two of high level play out of him.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think that they'll have. We'll see how it goes. I mean, it's a 1-year contract. I love the contracts that Brandon Beane gets these guys to sign too, because you can just see how he's thinking ahead. So you know what I mean. He's seeing the cap space that he has next year and the year after that, and these players that they're going to have to re-sign. You can see that this guy's thinking through all that stuff. I mean, it's enough stuff. I can't even wrap my head around the shit what he's already thinking ahead on. But I think that. Yeah, he's got that 1-year contract, kind of a prove it deal. If he can do that, we can get a couple years out of him. Maybe this who was the cornerback that we drafted real late in the draft? You got a name on him?
Nope.
Remember who it was? It was like 7th round, right? The last guy we picked was cornerback.
Oh,
they obviously have some.
He's from so that guy. It's Dane Jackson.
Yeah, Dane Jackson.
So this kid, he's from a town right outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, called Coropolis.
Yeah.
Well, I was actually at that Sunday night football game in Pittsburgh when the Bills went to Pittsburgh to play.
Yep. When they clinched playoffs. Yep.
Yeah. So I go to that game, and I was staying with some friends down there, and so during the draft, I get a text message from my buddy Tony. Big T from Pittsburgh, and he's like, "Hey, I seen you guys just drafted Coropolis boy."
No shit.
I was like, "That Dane Jackson?" He's like, "Yeah, he's from here." And I was like, "No shit." He's like, "Yeah,
wow."
Yeah." So I guess the town was pretty fired up. Draft night.
That's awesome. That's like when AJ Epinesa got drafted. I posted it on Facebook, and a buddy of mine from up in Mount Pleasant is like, "Yeah," he's like, "Man, that was a good steal for the Bills." He's like, "I actually know AJ Epinesa's family." I was like, well, you tell AJ Epinesa's family that Bill's Mafia.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're representing as best we can out here.
Yeah.
In all Iowa, it's not very many of us out here. So I went online. I actually found there's a Bills backer group in Des Moines, which is about 3.5 hours from here. I think it'd be worth the drive to go up there.
Yeah, check that out.
One weekend, stay the night up there.
Iowa is where Buffalo Bill Cody's from. That's where the Bills, name originated. The Buffalo Bills name, not Buffalo's name, but
I actually just found that out.
Yeah.
Like, what the
Yeah.
fuck?
Yeah, Buffalo Bill Cody, and it's here in Iowa. So, like, and so people will talk shit about the Bills because they'll be like, "You're a Bills fan. You don't even know where the Bills name came from." It's like, really?
Do any fans
do you
really
really
know
need
that?
to know? Like, the Miami Dolphins, like, do their fans like, you're like, where's your, you know, you get your name from?
I have
Because
major-
there's fucking dolphins out there. I don't know.
I have major issue with the Dolphins.
Yeah, like they're
Okay, so they're an expansion team.
Yeah.
So there's a group of guys sitting around in a room in Florida, and they're like, okay, so we're gonna have an NFL team. We need to be, you know, it's an intimidating sport. You know,
Yeah.
it's full contact. You know, it's
Yeah.
blood, and you know. So they're like, all right, how about Dolphins? What? and not one single person was like, what? What the fuck? No.
No, they're like, yeah.
Dolphin. But, yeah, but I mean, I get it, you know. I mean, yeah.
Didn't they used to have a smiley face dolphin? They were like, oh, that wasn't intimidating enough, so they made a frowny face dolphin, trying to look angry.
Yeah,
I think it was like
they
a
try
change.
to, man, even the Arizona Cardinal. I mean, it's a fucking Cardinal, but they at least make it look scary.
Yeah.
I mean, you can put that on the side of a fucking B-52 bomber.
Yeah.
So the last thing like these poor people see is a fucking Cardinal.
Yeah.
I mean, a fucking
Not a sad
dolphin.
dolphin.
It's a porpoise.
Yeah.
With that fucking Jim Carrey, Ace Ventura.
Yeah.
And then they make it even better. They're like, okay, so now we're the Dolphins. What color is he gonna use? I don't know. How about Sherwood ice cream?
And teal.
Like,
And teal.
and
What the
teal.
fuck, man?
Come on.
Yeah.
Teal, Miami. Come on. And then one of my favorite movies, Any Given Sunday. They actually got it right with the Sharks.
Yeah,
They had
right.
black uniforms.
Yeah.
And they were the Sharks.
Yeah, but they were imaginary. So,
Yeah. And I thought, man, come on.
Yeah.
I hate those generic names and
So-
stuff. I like it when teams' names make sense, like Cowboys down there in Texas.
Yeah.
You know,
But like even like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, like is there a bunch of Buccaneers and what the
no,
fuck?
but they got a pirate ship in their stadium.
Okay, like they got a pirate ship. All right, whatever. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. Like where people would talk shit about, you know,
It's
Bills
a
fans,
generic-
and they don't know where the name came from. It's like, dude, get the fuck
Yeah,
out of here.
Buccaneers, okay.
Does it matter?
All right, so at the end of the day, it's a pirate, right?
Right.
But it's a buccaneer. It's not actually like a pirate like what people think of. So it's not really like a common way to refer to, the seafaring outlaws of the day. Can we find out what exactly a buccaneer is? I feel they were more than just pirates. Because remember that old creamsicle uniform they had, and they had that really cool fucking logo. It was had a swashbuckler.
I think that they're
It looked
switching.
French.
They're changing their uniforms back to creamsicle or something for next year.
Are they?
Yeah, I saw they were talking about because TB12's there, so they got to do something new. You know what I mean?
So I want to thank everybody for joining us here at The Process. I'm Mike, and that was Adam. Sorry that the video was cut off short. My camera died before the end of the video. But this is a process, and we will do better the next time. Hope you come back to join us, and we'll see you then.